the push is the thing that's going to push the things that you actually want away.
Welcome to the Empowerista podcast, female entrepreneurs finding freedom and fulfillment in their life and career. I'm your host, Alex Worley, the founder and CEO of Empowerista, an award-winning producer and national TV host, seen on platforms like Business Rockstars, Entrepreneur.com, and Amazon Prime. I am so excited to share my candid conversations with successful women, amazing women, as they reveal the tips and truths they've learned on their entrepreneurial journey. My guest today is Sarah Pendrick, the founder and CEO of GirlTalk Network, a transformational platform known for its famous events empowering young women around the country. Sarah is also an international speaker and was recently awarded the Iconic Woman of the Year Award, creating a better world for all from the UN-sponsored Women Economic Forum. Let's hear Sarah's empowerment tips and how women can support other women.
You have been somebody that's been in my journey that has inspired me so much. You've been a peer mentor of mine, and it's just been so much fun to see you grow. And it's been way too long since we've caught up, so I'm so excited to do that in front of everyone watching and listening.
Yeah, I know. We'll forget that we're on camera because we have so much to catch up on.
Totally.
I feel the same about you, and we're in the start of each other's journey.
Yes, totally. It's very, very special and motivating and inspiring to see everything that you've done.
Thank you.
So for those who have been living under a rock and don't know what GirlTalk Network is, why don't you let them know what it is?
Yeah, so it's a platform for female entrepreneurs and women of all walks of life. It's a transformational platform online and offline. We have amazing events. We have meetups. We have the online community, just really empowerment for all areas of our life.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about you, since I know you, is that you truly do walk the walk, and you are so empowering of women, whether or not it's on your massive social media platform or at your amazing events, or if it's really when the camera is off and you just want to encourage a woman. So this is coming from an authentic place for you. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what your inspiration is?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It's really what I wish that I had my whole life. I had all brothers. I had really big dreams. I had a lot of people telling me that I could do it, a lot of people telling me that I couldn't. And I always wanted sisterhood. And I truly, for me personally, I thrive when I'm supported by other women. So when I didn't have that in my life, I always go out and create what I want. So I started giving a lot of support to other women and then starting to receive it back and just creating things that I want in my life. That's how basically I've done almost everything that I've created, is thinking, I want that, then there has to be other people out there to do the same. And I do truly believe, you hear all those quotes that are like, your vibe attracts your tribe. I remember posting those in the beginning of my Instagram.
Totally, yeah, me too,
remembers. And I'm like, this sounds cool, but I didn't really understand the meaning of it, that when you really are operating at a high frequency, those are the type of people that you bring into your life. So for so long, I'm taking full responsibility. Why don't I have that in my life? What is in my control and what's not? And where am I not vibing to where I have that sisterhood? So it's it starts with you, to where you start creating what you want, but also walking the walk, like you just said. So that's what I really commit to at all times in anything that I'm doing. So really thank you for that acknowledgement.
Yeah, I love it. And it's a really good point. No one can control where they were born, how they grew up, and whether or not people were supportive of them and believed in them. But there comes a point where you do have to commit to creating your own network. How do you go about doing that?
So it's a journey. You and I met on Instagram. I think we've talked about this before. Just the power, social media can be quote unquote bad, but it can also be amazing. So it just depends how you use things, the way or what you choose to view and how you choose to use it. The way that I connect now is a lot of events, a lot of masterminds, putting myself out there and contacting someone through their website, any way that I can, just to build that community, because it's not going to come to you. You need to be out there showing the universe that this is what you want. So if you want something, you get to take action on it. So I just constantly take action. Probably around the time when I was getting started, I was very overwhelmed. I was just trying to do everything. And now it's I have the end goal. I have the purpose of what I want to do, but I just think of the first 3 steps. And that could be messaging someone on Instagram. That could be asking a massive, amazing women entrepreneur celebrity to come support you. Like, you just never know. And all you have to do is take action on it.
And it's scary. It's vulnerable. I think that's a lot of times why we don't take action on something, because we're afraid of rejection. And there will sometimes be rejection. But I think when you can get past that and understand that that rejection doesn't determine your self-worth, then it's so worth it, right?
Yeah. A lot of building businesses, it's like, we'll test your self-worth. And it's amazing, because when you do get rejected, you just get to go back to what that means to you and work on your self-worth. Like you said, work on believing yourself no matter what someone comes back and says to you in the message, or whatever position or opportunity that doesn't work out. Like, you get to go back and use that as a lesson.
And I feel like the more you continue and persevere, you strengthen that muscle of being like, I do believe in myself. I can do this. At first, it's probably going to sting more than ever. But then the more you do it, the more you persevere. You're like, okay, everyone's fine. I'm going to be okay. I've got this.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I'm all about manifesting, so I might be going down a whole nother rabbit hole right now.
Love it.
But I do truly believe that that's the point of when manifestation really works. When you're like, okay, I just got this no. So you have a choice. I could be like, okay, I'm going to take that, but I'm going to keep going. Or you could use that no and be like, this sucks. It's not happening for me. This is what I'm meant to do. Of course, I still have those days, but that's the trick of when manifestation and attracting what you want into your life really works, because it's like a little bit of a test. Like, is the first no, you're just going to give up? Then do you really want this? So it's like a really, like, I'm not saying the no's don't suck. They suck. But
they totally
like,
suck. But it can really, really strengthen your manifestation. I like looking at it that way for sure.
And it can also give you a test of, maybe I don't really want this, or I was going down this road because everyone told me to, or whatever it is, you know? Just information.
I actually want to talk more about manifestation. And I feel like you're also very intuitive, because a lot of times on this show, we talk about the more tactical part of entrepreneurship. Goal setting, how do you, reach your numbers, and all that's very important. And there's a place for that. But I feel like there's this other intangible part about entrepreneurship that a lot of women, you being an example of, are really good at it. And that's listening to your intuition and being in touch with what you want, what your gut's telling you, and manifesting to make that happen. And that really started for you at a young age when you had a vision for Girl Talk. Can you kind of take me back to that time and how this intuition and manifestation has made Girl Talk a reality?
Yeah, I mean, I personally think female entrepreneurship is what is changing the world and what is going to change the world. Like you said, we are all like very intuitive. It's the feminine that is so powerful, but entrepreneurship puts you in this box where it's like, go, 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 goals, goals, numbers. Like you said, that's super important. But the thing that women have that is such a gift is adding our intuition into it. So for me, I knew that I wanted to do, I think I've told you this before, my business plan was when I was like 14. It was about Girl Talk. So that was somewhere inside me. Like, I don't know if it was God, the universe, that gave me that vision. I didn't know how I was going to get there. But even when I planned my first event, it wasn't easy. So I don't want to say that, but it was like flowing because I wasn't thinking about all that other stuff that gets into your head. And like, what if someone doesn't show up? And what if I say the wrong thing? I was just completely in flow. And that's been one of the easiest events and most successful events that I've had.
Your very first one?
Yeah.
That's
which
incredible.
is crazy, but it's just from the belief aspect and knowing like everything's not perfect. And the more that you actually show who you are and let things just happen, you could fall off stage, you could say something that you didn't mean to say. It's like, that's when you really get the true community or the buyers or whatever it is that you're looking for your business. And then I went down the road after that of goal day, like literally every 3 months, goals, numbers, have to hit this. What am I going to do? Exact plan. And I wasn't as successful. And I was kind of miserable. And I was like, wait, like I'm going so further away of what my gift as a woman is. So now I get to mix all of them and things happen in a more flowing state. And you also leave those messages open to just know, like, is this a match for me? Is this person someone that I want to do a business deal with or have at my event or whatever it is? It's like we as women have the absolute power to change the world. And so we get to use that no matter what other people say about entrepreneurship.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good. So has this just always come natural to you, or do you feel like there's a framework that helps you get into this flow, intuitive state?
So I think it's come natural for all of us at some time in our life. It's just the things in the outside and what society tells us, or, trauma or something that's happened to you, that we go further away from it. Just like my example of that I was in the flow, and that's how I launched my business. And that's how all of these things got created with Girl Talk. Then I got out of the flow where it seemed like, oh, did I lose my gift? Like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? It's because I wasn't concentrating on it or leaving it open. So I truly believe that you're a woman, you have that gift. And so sometimes it's just the awareness, or thinking back into your life when things were really flowing and working out for you. What was your mindset at that time? Mm-hmm. It's a lot of like inner work and deep personal questions that you get to ask yourself, because it is inside all of us.
So I feel like so often as entrepreneurs, we're told to push, do. The hard worker is the one that actually makes it happen and is successful. But there's something to be said sometimes about taking a step back and creating that white space and pulling things to you, which I feel like is the mindset you've had when you've seen the most growth. Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, because anything, like you said, having things come to you, they'll come to you when you're vibrating on that level.
Hey, super quick, if this episode is inspiring you, I'd be so very grateful if you did any or all of the following. Subscribe to the podcast, review the podcast, or take a screenshot of this episode and post it to your Instagram stories, and be sure to tag @Empowerista so I can share your post. Your support seriously means so much and will allow me to continue making episodes. Lastly, if you'd like to read the key points from today's interview, head to empoweristapodcast.com for show notes.
So if you're pushing is kind of like coming from the place of, I don't really think this is possible, and I have to like work my butt off.
It's a fearful mindset.
Yeah, it's a fearful mindset. So things aren't coming to you and being attracted to you, and the right people that could also support you in making it happen aren't meeting your frequency. So it's kind of like, the push is the thing that's going to push the things that you actually want away.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, and tell me if you agree with this, is that we kind of got into the mindset of, well, if I'm believing that and I'm manifesting, then that means that I'm not taking action. And it's not about that. It's about that you do both, and you don't just like sit on the couch and wait for things to happen, but you believe it, you put it out there, and then you say, what can I do? Like, I'll ask the universe, like, this is what I want, this is what I desire, this is the impact that I want to make, and now guide me to where I'm best to be served, like where I can serve the best. Now, what do I get to do? What inspired action do I get to take? Rather than pushing, I'm like in flow and making things happen and taking action. I'm not sitting on the couch, but I'm not pushing and like literally like bulldozing people and like living in this fearful state where no one wants to even be around you.
Totally. I love that you said that. Inspired action.
Yeah.
So key, because it's not, you still have to put yourself out there. Like you said earlier in our chat, that's so important. You're not sitting on your couch, but you're taking action on the right things where you're feeling inspired toward this bigger vision.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like this plays into your events really well, because, similarly to creating a business, when you create an event, there are the tactical pieces. You have to think about, okay, how many seats do I need to fill? How much food do I need? Absolutely. But when I have gone to your event and we've done some events together, what makes your event so special is that intangible and the vibe that you create and the atmosphere, because you can have all the right things. You can have the food and the drink and the seats. Yep. But if you don't have an atmosphere, then what's the point of an event, right? So tell me how this mindset, intuition, manifestation plays into planning an event.
Planning the events. So for me, that is one thing that I just think of the end in mind. I really love the end in mind thinking and what you want to create and why you're doing it. And also like how much money do you make? All those things, all the things that you want. And then it's more thinking like, again, creating what kind of event would I want to be at? Because like you said, it could like look amazing, be like the most beautiful event you've ever been to, but the vibe's not there. You're going to walk away and be like, that was really pretty, but like, I wish I stayed home and did something else. Yeah. So it's like creating both. So I really think about what is missing. How do I want each attendee to feel? And I do that with any parts of business. Like, how do I want my team to feel? How do I want the people that I'm talking to feel? It's like, what is that vibe that you get to create? And that's a lot of the flow. And then you paint in and put the pieces in after you've already established that.
Yeah, it's being really, really intentional about the feeling. A lot of times we're intentional about the look and we're intentional about the goals, but we don't stop to think, how do we want people to feel? Because really at the end of the day, people take action from emotions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like ultimately you're actually being like a resourceful, smart businesswoman to think like that. And
totally.
That's what you get to use to your advantage. You want to support other businesses, but if you're in a company with, you have competition or there's events everywhere and everyone can't go to every event. There's also a plethora of attendees available to you, but that's what also sets you apart is thinking in that way. So you can be intentional about how you want them to feel and then intentional about this is the money that I want to make. This is what I want to sell on stage, all of those things. But you start with like the true intention first.
You brought up competition.
Yeah.
And I know that that's something you talk about a lot is not comparing yourself and women supporting other women. So how can we do this and why is it so beneficial, especially in entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So for me, that was part of my journey, and I don't even think I realized it. From a young age, I had that message, which I call the old way, being told to me that there's always a competition between people and there's not enough for all of us.
The scarcity mindset.
Yeah, scarcity mindset. And also it's just how we are programmed. So that's why I love talking about it, because we get to get aware of that and know that that's actually not serving us or anyone else. So the new way is knowing that there really is enough for all of us. And the more that you listen to your gifts and just trust, the more that you're going to be giving and the more that you're going to be able to give and get, but also establish those strong relationships. So I just think it's a matter of it's programmed inside who we are in our DNA. And then depending on who you were around when you were growing up, those thoughts are filtering as well. Like I was around people that were constantly in the scarcity mindset of like the competition. So that's literally how my brain was programmed to do anything. But once you start getting aware of it, even when you're watching this and you're like, oh, when do I do that? And you kind of go towards what I call the new way, so many things change. And you also, I don't know about you, but I'm very, very big into collaborating. And I want to have all these businesses, but you can't do it alone.
Totally.
So the more that you have that mindset, the more that you might find your absolutely business partner that gets to do all the things that you actually like, that give you depth and take away what your gift is. Yeah,
you can't do it alone. So the more that you open yourself up to other people and have that abundant mindset, the better it's going to be for your business. And I think, we're all human.
Yeah.
Every once in a while,
it's
that jealousy trigger, that comparison trigger is going to go off. But I think it's shifting to make it work for you and treating it like information and asking yourself, okay, what is this telling me? Is this telling me that I feel like I'm not good enough to do what she's doing? Or maybe, I want to do what she's doing. And all of that's really good information. So you can say, you can reframe your mind and say, no, I am good enough.
Yeah.
And, if that's something I want to do, then I should go do it. And because she's done it, that means it's possible.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that at least for me, growing up, we weren't given those options. We weren't given that reframe. And it's like you said, it's gonna pop up because that's how we're programmed. We can reprogram, but then we have our DNA that's been 20 years and years of where men are like fighting competition wise. Like as women, we innately want to be in these like tribes lifting each other up, but also our competition and comparison kind of brings us in that place of that tribe. So it's in you no matter what. But the thing that I love about our generation and what's happening now is that we just have those thoughts. We recognize it. We know that it's not true and do what you said and be like, this is information. How can I actually make myself even better from this? So it's all information. And that feels so much better than being like, why am I having these thoughts? I shouldn't have these thoughts. And then it's like what you resist persists.
Right.
And it's a whole cycle and a whole loop.
And like you said, you love to collaborate, which has turned into lots of different beautiful projects and businesses. Give us an overview of everything that you have going on right now because it's a lot.
Yeah. So I always love true entrepreneur, right? Like you just always want to create. So that's never going to stop. I'm always going to want to create. But one thing that I know is that I get to receive help and support and collaboration where I don't have to do everything. So right now we're launching a CBD line. We have our tech company. I have all the different things that I have with GirlTalk, whether it's going and speaking, events, all of that. I constantly am thinking of new ideas, especially how we can support women. I'm very all my businesses are very women focused.
So that's obviously a lot. So how do you manage all of that? Like you said, you don't do it all. I know that you have a supportive team and collaborators, but still, I'm sure you're pulled in a lot of directions. So how do you stay sane and keep your balance?
The way that I stay sane is really with the personal development. I go to a lot of experiential learning conferences. I'm constantly using everything that comes up for me, like you said, with the information. I think that is the best tool that you have, is always growing your mind, body, and soul. And yes, things get overwhelming. Yes, sometimes it gets to get hard, or sometimes things aren't working out exactly as I wish and hope them to be. But I don't believe in balance. So the thing that I could say that you can do for yourself is always using information and working on your mindset. Like reading the books, podcasts, whatever it is. And sometimes you get to a level where the podcasts and the books aren't enough. You want to go in a deeper spiritual level, whatever it is. I'm more open to receiving information and feedback and deciding what I do from there, but to constantly working on mindset. And the thing that I love the most that fuels a lot for me is being around women. Having a lot of women's circles, having women events, even sitting here today talking, there is something also in our DNA. Though we struggle with the old way, it also lights us up to be around each other. And that could take me from being in a low place to being like, this is all possible. And like, this is amazing that I have all these companies. And I'm grateful for that. And now I get to wake up today and figure it all out and have a team. So mindset and using information.
You know what I think it is about being other women is we're so good at connecting, and we all need that. I feel like that's my number one reason for wanting to have strong girlfriend relationships and be involved in different events. Is just that connection that we all need and we're all so good at. Well, what is it for you? What part of girlfriends and being around women fuels you?
So I just think there's something, like you said, just is natural. Right? It's just kind of the way we are. And then we're in the social media push, we forget to go do those things. So that's why I make that a priority. And for me, sometimes it's just the unexplainable. It's like, it's natural. There's something between the feminine energy that is amazing, but also when you are attracting the people that lift you up, you get to just help each other and know that you're not alone. And no matter who you are, like the badass boss, entrepreneur, you get to get support. And so when you're around other women that are like, no, you could do that, and there's no jealousy, and they will do anything for you, it's almost like Superwoman has their like tribe behind them. Like every Superwoman gets to have a tribe behind you. There's just like an unexplainable thing that women can do for each other. And it can also go the other way, which is exactly why you and I do what we do, because it could get really bad and really push each other down. And that's not going to change the world. So.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. In the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey, I didn't give nearly enough credit to that intangible part. But now I'm convinced it all starts and comes down to being clear on your vision, being confident that you can do it, and being courageous enough to go for it.
Exactly.
And so that's where all those things that you're talking about come into play. That's why you really can get on the fast track when you slow down and have those wellness habits and get, in tune with yourself, and you have a supportive network of girlfriends and guy friends too. Those pieces are so important to fueling you as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. It's almost like instead of having the mindset of like the push or I don't have time for this, it's like, it's actually crucial to do that, because women are prone to more burnout because we have so many thoughts. We're capable of so much that we could burn out. So it's almost like if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to have that be a priority. It's not taking time away. It's actually making you be the woman that gets to go out and change the world and do anything that you want to do.
Yeah, because if you push, you might see a little bit of initial growth, but you're not going to sustain.
Exactly.
And we're in this for the long haul.
Yeah.
So and then have to sustain ourselves.
And you have the growth, and then you're so burnt out, then you're not going to have any more growth.
Totally.
So it's just like priority yourself, priority self-care, mindset. Yeah.
So I feel like women supporting women, women empowering women, it's very trendy right now, which is great because there are a lot of people like you that are actually walking that walk. let's like bring it down to earth for a second. Like, what does that mean? Like, what can a woman who is watching or listening do to actually support or empower another woman or receive that support and empowerment?
So it's really simple. Like you said, it is kind of a trend, which I want it to stay. I want this to always be a trend. But then if you are supporting that, you get to have it start with you, whether it's going and mentoring another woman or a girl, or I think 2/3, it was a Harvard study, 2/3 of mentors are men. So it's like, when you're in a circle and you see, for example, you see someone not speaking up as much, like a woman that's not speaking up, or you're in a conference and you see someone that you know they have a lot to say, but they're not owning their voice. So therefore, they're not going to be looked at as a leader. So it's actually our job to encourage them and be like, Alex, I know that you are an expert on this. Will you share this with us? Rather than maybe we're like more concentrated on ourselves and getting our point across. It's like our responsibility to look out and lift other women up and do the mentorship and do the work and really do the work on ourselves, because when we're our best selves, then we innately, by nature, want to support other women.
Yeah.
So it's more than just talking about it. Actually decide today, what can you do? Can you go out to Starbucks and compliment a woman? It sounds silly, but that literally raises the vibration of the world. Is there someone that you can reach out to, a young entrepreneur, and give your time to them? It's like thinking outside of ourselves is truly women supporting women.
Well, think about when you're on the receiving end of that. Yeah. When you're at Starbucks and somebody compliments you, it can literally make your day. Yeah. So I love that you mentioned it's simple. It's so easy to do, but it can make a huge difference.
A huge difference. And someone gave me this example that I was talking to the other day, because I was asking her about comparison, since I'm so part of my book that I'm writing is about that, all of the things. And she was like, I was at this coffee shop and I saw this girl just completely owning herself, laughing. I kept looking at her because I'm like, I wish I could be like that right now. Like, I just don't feel like that. And then on the other end, that girl's looking at her like, these group of women keep looking at me. Like, what am I doing wrong? So she was like, hey, I'm going to go over and let her know. I've just been admiring your power and how you're owning yourself. And so that's a part of it, because they could have left the coffee shop and that girl could have been sitting there like, I think I was too much again. Yeah. It's just really our responsibility to look outside of ourselves and see where we can lift another woman up.
Yeah. And it's just human nature to be attracted to people like us. And that's why a lot of male leaders have mentored and promoted a lot of other men. And obviously there are a lot of downsides to that, but it is a reality we need to look at and turn the responsibility back on us as women and say, okay, now it's our job. Right. Now that we are in these leadership roles. And even if you're not in a leadership role, you still can be a leader and reach out to another woman and say, it's going to start with me. I'm going to be that woman that mentors and promotes another woman.
Exactly. And you said it too. It's like someone that's watching or someone that might not be an entrepreneur. They're like, well, this doesn't apply to me, but it's like you are a leader somewhere in your life. So this absolutely applies to you. And like you said, the men mentoring men and they're leading to other leadership roles. That's why it's so crucial for us to have more women mentors, so more women become into leadership roles. And then I think women being in leadership roles, that we're, like we said, using our intuition and our caring and our fierceness, that's when the world really starts to change, as well as female entrepreneurship and businesses. And it's like chills when I talk about it.
Seriously, so I've got chills. I love it. I always love chatting with you and hearing about your wisdom and just the way that you come from your heart. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Alex. So excited to be here, and I just love you so much.
So before we end, where can people keep up with you to hear more of your wisdom and heart?
On Instagram at Sarah Pendrick, or on our website with all of our events listed, GirlTalkNetwork.org.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Well, that's it for today's show. As a reminder, show notes are available at empoweristapodcast.com, and I would be so grateful if you'd subscribe, review, or share this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and have an amazing week.